Well, this is that Franken bike. It's a 125 SL, let's see, 72 Honda, and I'm putting that LaFon motor in it that came in that deal where I traded 2 cases of beer for a pile of bikes. And the frame is from that $30 pile of bike deal. Well, I'm going to have to do a little modifying, particularly the top motor mount here. So this is a regular Honda bracket, but the front motor lug is on the front. Now this LaFon one is on the back. So I'm going to have to make up a bracket for that, or I should check because there probably is a bracket for that available. And I also will have to kind of notch out down there, right in here. The frame doesn't go, right here. I got to cut the frame a little bit to get that motor to go back. The bolts don't quite line up. But then she'll mount in there, and I think the front will be just fine. This is kind of a dry run, kind of just fitting her to see what modifying I have to do. But otherwise everything lines up. And the rear tire and brake drum and all that came off of this scrapped out 125 Suzuki that was in a pile of parts. Also, the whole front suspension, I modified the Suzuki. Well, most of the modifying was done on the Honda to fit that Suzuki triple tree in there, and I got that lined up, and that works fine. It was not a small job, but it works fine because that Suzuki's got a much heavier front end and much longer travel. RMs were known for that, but everything bolted on perfectly fine, and that way I kept the good alloy rims. And I'm using the stock Honda swing arm, though I might end up changing out the shock absorbers because these Honda ones are pretty small, and I might be able to modify those rear Suzuki ones to fit on there too. And I'll have to do a little modifying. The Honda had a rod operated rear brake, whereas the Suzuki has a cable operated. So there'll be a little fabricating going on there. But it's coming together nice, and it's a nice little motor and a good solid frame and an excellent front end. And so it's a combination of parts off that Suzuki and off that Elsinore. There's everything in there, but I think I make a good little dirt bike out of it. And, that motor is that one that was brand new, just stuck. But I got that all fixed up now. And I think I'll have to drop the front forks down. Yeah, see, I wanted to use the Suzuki front forks because then you got, like I say, bigger fork tubes and they're an air suspension. But I've got them jacked up pretty high. I think I can drop that down even a couple inches. You just loosen these clamps and slide them up. Because right now, I got to have a block under the kickstand, or I'll have to extend the kickstand. That would work too. But everything seems to line up, even sprocket-wise. The only difference, the Suzuki had a plastic sprocket on the rear. Well, I'm not going to use that, but I'll get a regular Suzuki sprocket, aluminum one to put on there. Then I got to create a whole new wiring system, though at least I do have clearance for the carburetor. That was a little bit of a concern because you can run the carburetor into the frame. But I got to come up with a battery box because this thing is made with an electric starter that goes on back here, and I guess I'll leave that on there. Though, you know, I could scrap that, but there are times when an electric starter is handy. So if I can get a battery box that'll fit in here decently, and I think, you know, look through my junk, I can find one, but it's a 12-volt system on this LaFon. But she'll fit. I'm a little surprised that I have to cut the frame down there. You know, this is that, what you'd call a Monaco type frame, you know, where it's a box. So it ain't going to hurt it any to cut it there. In fact, that's below the swing arm. But it's right there. She's got a little too close. And I guess that there's a little nub here that is a brake return spring latch, but like I say, I'm using cable operated brake anyway, which will have to be hooked on here some way. And I got to run that stabilizer arm that goes to here, and I think I can pull that one off the Suzuki. She's a conglomeration, but it's all coming together, and I think it will make a nice little, you know, little trail bike. I ain't trying to make something street legal here, just trying to make something I can use to run out and get mail instead of that little 125 Honda or firing up my big one. So that little 125 would have bolted right in here too. But that's such a good bike as it is. But, you know, you want the bigger wheel on the front. You get in this loose sand and that thing is a handful. But it was good to make use of some of the parts off this old RM. You know, because that's pretty much junk. And I think, like I say, I might be able to use them shock absorbers. But the rear brake stabilizer, well, the whole rear brake assembly, I just got to line it up and find a good place to weld that on the frame. Or make a bracket, some kind of setup. She's coming together. Not something I'll be driving this year, but early next summer, she'll hit the road.